Welcome to Miles being cut off because he doesn't expect me to start the show when I do. But that's all on purpose. So, say hello, Miles.
Yo. Hello.
And yeah, welcome to issue...
Eight? 7?
Yeah, well, we
8?
both think it's 8, right? So it's 8.
8. Let's go tentatively with 8. Yeah. The number 8 in China has mystical properties.
Well, it's good luck, but so are most other, like, even numbers.
And this is something
it sounds like death.
This is something the Illuminati don't want you to know. If you turned an 8 on its side, it actually looks like an infinity symbol. That's why. Yeah. All rich people have an 8 in a social security code, and that's where they live as well. The number of their house always has an 8 in it.
But I live at number 1, Miles. That's 8 times less than a rich person.
You're not in the Illuminati then, are you?
No, but I'm not sure number 8 on my block is that rich, to be honest. If you're listening, number 8, I'm sorry for insulting you there, but...
Are you even sure they're real? They could be sleeper agents. They could be plants.
They could be designed to catch me out.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'll find that out as my life goes on, I suppose.
Tune into issue 9 to see if Max becomes a sleeper agent.
So, what have we got on the menu this week, Miles?
I don't know. We should have talked about this before the show. No. Today, we're going through our old world projects, the triumphs and victories that we've been going through. We'll be doing a little sleuthing around the community, seeing what's been released this week, giving the thumbs up or the thumbs down on this week's releases. And the main chunk of this will be talking about Kroot. The main chunk of this issue will be talking about wish listing, because in the run up to this, releases have been pretty fair. They've been pretty good. But it feels like they keep in the meat of reveals for next week, because next week is Adepticon. And we are getting Warhammer 40k, Sigma, Warcry, Old World, Kill Team, Underworld, Necromunda, Horus Heresy, all the big hitters are going to be previewed there. So we'll be wish listing. We'll be talking about what we want to see from the preview next week.
But there will be some Kroot talk, at least a minimal amount. Because as we discovered before the show, I am Kroot curious, whereas Miles, you're not that into Kroot.
How to frame this? I can, weirdly, I've painted up a couple of Kroot recently for in Necromunda. You could get coal traders.
Yeah.
So these are off-world traders who bring in lots of like Xenos illegal wares off planet. And you can have a shore party. So I've been creating a little band of them using a Kroot as like a mercenary there. Incredibly fun miniatures to paint, very well detailed, very well thought out. Just a hell of a lot more interesting than the Tau, but it's not something it gets the juices flowing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't milk my udders.
Well, shall we do Kroot now, since we're already justifying Kroot or not?
Since we're talking about Kroot already.
Yeah, we can't double up on the Kroot section. I've not got that much to say about them. So this week, I pulled up the paints the content to the Kroot pack, because I thought it actually had some slightly better images and like the more interesting models. So the first one that we come to is the Kroot Shaper with bow and throwing triple dagger. Like, we've seen this previewed before. We've seen it all previewed before, really, haven't we?
Yes.
But it's just nearer to release.
Yeah.
Now, my initial thought with this was, and not just the Shaper, but all the Kroot release in general, is, am I going to have to stockpile Kroot? Which is then what made us aware that we might have to talk about this on...
Yeah, what do you mean stockpile Kroot? Because that's an unusual phrase, like you're some kind of like doomsday prepper, but instead of getting like milk and bread, the essentials, you're getting Kroot instead. Why? Just why?
So there's always that thing of like, say Bretonnian men-at-arms, when Bretonians were discontinued, and the Bretonnian men-at-arms kit is great for just, or Empire, what are they called, the Free Company box that was like Mordheim Gold.
Oh God, yeah, it was.
Those
really
kits,
was.
if they'd been stockpiled before they went out of production, we'd have had lasting supplies of them over time.
So let me get this straight. You want to stockpile these because you anticipate they will sell in such low numbers they will be discontinued?
No, the old Kroot kit, the 2004
right.
Kroot kit.
Okay.
Because it's multi-part. Because that's one of the things that I do not like about new boxes. And I was looking at the new kits, and actually, the normal Kroot aren't that much removed from the old Kroot. They've got some additional weapons and things like that, but they're not so much removed from the old Kroot that I'm going to have to go out and stockpile.
No, they won't look out of place. You don't need to stockpile. I have a tremendous amount of Kroot multi-part if you want them, which we will talk about after the show, because haggling and negotiating on screen isn't good viewing.
I'll give you a reach around.
Okay, yeah, sold.
Done. Right.
Done. Next on the agenda. So what do you think about these new miniatures? Good miniatures. They match with previous lines. Will this tip you over the edge to collect a Tau army, do you think?
Definitely not a Tau army, but I could see...
A Kroot army, I should say.
Yeah, well, I could see a Kroot army as... Because of what I play is, like, in the sci-fi setting, Necromunda, maybe a Kroot warband for that. Having some mercenaries for a militia force in 30k, because they're in quite an ancient race, I believe, the Kroot. So that could be added to that. I've not got enough.
And they are mercenaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are mercenaries.
And the Imperium sort of allows them to operate as well. So,
well, they could be outsider contractors, right? That once their duties fulfilled, maybe back of the head, or there are less scrupulous commanders out there in the universe.
Exactly, and something like that. I've not got enough friends that regularly play 40k for me to get into it. It's like we're mainly the old world 30k base. Do they have one of the things that intrigued me about 40k when it was released or re-released at Adepticon or preview Adepticon last year was the idea of getting a combat patrol and having this combat patrol and using nothing else but the contents of that box and playing against one another. Do they have an equivalent of that for the Kroot? I think they do, but from what I've heard, the combat patrols are wildly different in like power level.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of see that. Yeah, I get that. But so I've been building my Black Legion along those lines. So if another project we're going to promise we're going to follow through on and then fall down on. If you were 40k curious, we could do that alongside one another.
I am 40k curious. I basically the Mantis Warriors. I would love to have time to go back and finish them. Just not on the cards at the moment to really commit to. I think we're veering away from Kroot, but that's as much.
Yes,
but no. What I'm going to say is that I think that's as much as needs to be said. We're not really seeing anything new, from what I can tell, from the Kroot pictures. It's just one of the bigger highlights pre-Adepticon with what we're getting. So I think we can move off. Yeah, we can move off Kroot. No need to stockpile. They look similar.
Yeah. Do you want to briefly talk about the Imperialis tanks?
Yeah, go on then. So I really like Legions Imperialis. It is a shame it didn't come out during summer when it was meant to, because it's now... I've not already got a painted army, which I could have done if it came out in summer. So it's now competing with painting time is my main problem with it, with the old world. But I've got an army. I've got two armies, in fact, for Legions. I've just got no time to make that army.
So I remember when Epic was around the first time round. Great game system. People lauded it, but nobody played it.
Yeah.
I get the similar feeling with this. I rather cynically, I didn't buy into this when it first came out because I know the cycle that people go through, that they'll buy everything and maybe 2-3 months they're just going to sell the lot. I'm looking for deals like that because it's been a bundled release, but the miniatures look great. I just wish I was more of like a treadhead to talk about like, oh wow, it's a cilia pattern hull, and you've got like the side sponsons, like they're a different pattern, they're Mars pattern. Oh, me, like a tank is a tank is a tank to me. Again, it doesn't get my juices flowing like the Crute. So both these releases, solid releases, but nothing that I would lose my mind about.
No, I think they look a bit. They do look Solar Auxilia. I prefer the Guard normal pattern Shadow Sword to this. The same with the Stormblade.
Yeah.
And and is that Hellhammer that's there? Hellblade? Whatever the other big Demolisher Cannon one is. Storm Sword. I prefer them. They're nice little releases. Basically, I think it's all painting space for all of us. Like a lot of the people that are excited about Imperialis are the same sort of people that are like, oh, I played Fantasy back in 2003. I'll also get back into that. It's the same generation that remembers that game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I hope they do Gothic in the same vein.
You see, the trouble is with that, Gothic is perfect the way it is, and they should never change it. It's like, should get the Blood Bowl treatment, where it's like, oh, well, basically just have the same game re-released.
Yes. I want new models. Like, I want to see what they do. Like, I would love for them to produce, like, the old Legion Gloriana class battleships, the Vengeful Spirit, the Tear of Baal, that kind of thing. Like, I'd love to see those. And maybe upscaled a little bit. But yeah, keep the game as it. Like, I'm personally like a fan of like bigger models because my eyes are starting to go, and I could just do more things with them with a bigger miniature. So it, like, if I had the option, upscale. I know you'd have to rewrite the rules to upscale them.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, because Gothic is played stem to stem of the. So it's been a while actually, like maybe like 6 months or something like that since I put a game on the channel. But if you want to see some Battlefleet Gothic, me and Henry have got an ongoing Gothic campaign on the channel. And you play it measured stem to stem, and the ships are actually all out of scale with each other anyway.
Oh, great.
So it wouldn't matter if they released other ships, if they kept the same rules that was stem, like you measure everything on stems.
Even better.
It just simply doesn't matter. Because they're all blips, right? When we're playing with them, even like in relation to planets or anything like that, they're blips in the dark sky.
I played one intro game at Games Workshop, and that's the extent of my Gothic career. Now, JP won't shut up about that game system, so it's more for him. And I know just how ravenous the Battlefleet community is. So yeah, I'd want it for them.
Yeah, so me and Henry travelled, I think it was last year, to a one-day Battlefleet Gothic event in Bristol that was good. 3 games, Battlefleet Gothic, across the day. It's an unforgiving game, but it represents exactly what... Like, if you thread the sandwich between 2 people's ships... So like you're the filling, and you get either side of someone.
You're the ham.
And get to blast either side. You feel like an absolute pro. Because your ship has just doubled in firepower essentially. And it's a game that if you get out of position, it's just really unforgiving, because someone could just stay behind you and just keep blasting at you, and you'll never get into arc.
Okay. Quick question. That's and whenever you say quick question, it means really long answer. Yeah. If you're in charge of games development, which game would you bring back first? Mordheim or Gothic?
Probably, especially with how well the old world seems to have done, Mordheim. Because it could use like it was written for 5th edition, right? Where when Mordheim was like, right, they were about to do the 6th rules. It was the actual base rules of Mordheim for like how you move and charge things are very similar in operation to how 6th edition fantasy was. So doing similar with like Mordheim, the old world, as an introductory like sort of 15 model game into that system, I think that's the no-brain choice, because it just feed into right, everyone, like you buy a pack, play a Mordheim campaign, and on your way to building up into it. And although the game is much deeper than that, it's a good, like process business wise to get people into that game and get people playing straight away. Whether that is the case, I don't know whether they would.
Yeah, just from like a personal point, more time. Because Gothic, while I do want to paint the ships, I think I'd only want to collect like the named ships. I wouldn't want to necessarily collect and paint a fleet. It's a little bit like Titanicus, right?
Boo.
Oh, boo. A little bit like Titanicus, right? I like painting things with faces. So Necromunda, Mordheim, each miniature is more character for me than a Battlefleet ship.
Yeah.
It holds more interest to me as a miniature painter doing those projects than endless amounts of trim and hull. So I would bring back Mordheim purely for that.
No, I agree. Like definitely from a painter's perspective, largely a ship is a ship, especially when it's so zoomed out scale, like it is. The characterfulness of each ship actually, I think, does come into it in Gothic, because you end up with these ridiculous situations, and they're like these. One of the reasons I don't think it'll come back is 3D printing exists, and people have made every ship possible for Battlefleet Gothic over and over again.
Yeah.
But those ships, because you can combine them and make different models out of them, can become very unique, and you only need like sort of 6 ships for a game of Battlefleet Gothic. So then you can sort of track what's going on in the head, and like I say, my flagship, the Semper K, is like it's got its own ongoing story of when it's done good or bad, and when it's blasted someone out of the sky or been absolutely like crippled itself, and it's very good in that way of like there's meaningful roles in Battlefleet Gothic, just like Mordheim as well, but it's a ship of a low number of roles, I would say, and impactful roles within that. So you do end up telling a story with that, but maybe not so much on the painting side. Yeah.
So, viewers, why don't you tell us which one you prefer? Viewer, why don't you tell us which one you prefer? Oh, God, that was an awful transition, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter because we're still on the page for Legions Imperialis. Anyway, Legions Imperialis, if you are in my position as well, after this long segue, where you can't get the time to paint your own Legions Imperialis, Miles exists. Get him to paint it.
After just talking about how much I don't like painting tanks. Yeah.
Well, you should give him hordes of infantry to paint for you. That's what I reckon. In Imperialis
I've always
scale.
said, you commission me, I'll paint the side of your house.
There we go. And after that glowing recommendation, I think the final thing that we've got is the Necromunda Beastmasters.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. The rat dude, the rat catcher, I guess he's not a catcher, he's a rat goader.
I think that's a lady. And it's a fairly character. I really like the rat catcher model. It's
all the words they've done have had something to them. They've all reflected the creatures they've been goading, or the creatures they've been associated with. Yeah, it's it's a weird thing to say, but it's a shame that the Rat Prince exists in the Cursed City range, because if I ever ran this Wirid in my gang, I would replace her with that miniature. You know, the guy with a sword and the rat tails, and he's covered in rat furs. I'd replace it with him.
No, 1 second. So I've just pulled it up now since we're in a visual format. I do in fact know this guy, but do you know what? I didn't like sort of put two and two together with all the rat tails and stuff.
All the rats, yeah. I think in game he can do something to the rats. There he can gang up. But yes, I would use him as a miniature because he is such a good miniature. But I don't think it's fair to have that cross comparison. I go, which one is better, because they're both good sculpts. But I do have to say,
it depends whether you want like an aristocracy versus.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like
the
downtrodden.
Yeah.
I think it's just any excuse to use that miniature in any game system under any circumstance. It's just such a good miniature. But I do have to say, I prefer the old rats, the old 1997 rats to the new rats.
So I have been pre-informed which ones those are this time. So the best picture I could find was this eBay listing. So you're welcome for the advertising, Goldfish Blue. And they're very like chaosy, like mutated giant rats, like on these single stamped ones, but I don't know. I just don't think it's the new aesthetic, right?
So I guess I might be coloured by nostalgia, but I always loved seeing these rats as sort of like really mutated, really hard, really bristling, just bristling with teeth and menace. Whereas the new ones, I guess more anatomically correct, but I always associated like down hive rats to just be bristling with spikes. Almost porcupine-esque.
No, I like those old rats. I just think they're a nostalgic product of the time type thing.
Yeah, could quite possibly be, yeah, because I don't actually own any, so I could get them and go, God, these are awful in comparison to the new girthy, fatter rats we get with modernity.
Yeah, and the rats are all right. I think they're just all right for me.
Overall, good release. I think that's sort of like the thread of this conversation. Every release we've talked about, it's good. It's good.
It is good. That said in sort of like everything we've looked at is mundane way, rather than.
Yeah, and not everything could be a 10, right? Not everything could just make you tear your eyes out, lose your mind, smash your head against the wall, how good it is.
Yeah, well, almost. They're obviously doing well as a company, doing so many releases all the time. Mm-hmm. But there's almost too many releases, so I don't think it's too bad of a thing.
I just wish they keep it in stock. I think we were talking about this before. I wish they keep. Yeah, I mean this would be something we talk about in the preview. But I just wish they could keep their stock numbers up, because since we started the Old World project, the HobbyHammer #HobbyHammer, hashtag the hell out of everything. Since that project started, I haven't been able to get square bases through Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And like I'm releasing a video this weekend on how to paint a Chaos Warrior, but he's on a round base. I mean, I'm going to look like a fool. Gonna look
like a damn fool. Yeah, it's true. Like welcome to the Games Workshop stock section that's customary every week. Still, the Bretonian Standard Bearer model that I complained about, like it must be a month now. Isn't in stock, and neither is the Paladin with Great Weapon. So that it's just a bit weird, right?
It's hard to sustain your enthusiasm for a game system when you can't buy the stuff for it.
Well, it must be very frustrating. Luckily, I got the Bretonian box, and these have been trickling back into stock.
Yeah, they have.
So I got the Bretonian box, so I've been like tidying myself over with that, as well as the Victrix models for. I suppose this is the what we've been doing section now. This is now the what we've been doing section.
It's melded into it.
I've been doing my next pledge for the month, which is 40 Knights of the Realm on foot.
Beautiful. 40?
Well, 24 plus a load of like 16 additionals that will be for a different game, like a historical game.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot on foot.
Yeah, well, I just thought if I'm painting some, I might as well paint a big block. Like,
No, but it's impressive. It's an impressed. That's a lot. Yeah, good.
well, be impressed at the end of the month when I've got them finished.
I don't know how to sound sincere now. Like, good for you. Good for you, Max.
Good for you. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well, I've been also getting like sick of doing them one by one, putting a blank colour on. So I've ended up not only this month painting that Dwarf Slayer, but also a Middenheimer Battle Standard Bearer. Mm-hmm. So that is up on the screen now, where I've gone for the blue and white and red banner, and it's in this model by Highland Miniatures called The Last Stand. Yeah, and it just was an inspiring model to, pick up and just have a go at with some different colours. So it was just a refreshing little.
How are you doing the sort of like arch? You're going to keep it sort of like a cool grey?
I was going to go for more of a yellow, rock, but like a buff sandstone.
Yeah, I know. So do you know what you've done there? You have used all the primary colours to frame your scene.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing. Yeah, no, it's a good thing. So you've got the red, you've got the blue, you've got the yellow. If you do the buff in the sandstone, try and bring a little bit of yellow down below, maybe on some of the fatigues of the dead warriors. And if you could also play with the saturation a little bit as well, if you wanted to, so you can make the banner a lot more saturated than anything else on the scene to make it pop more.
Yeah.
You drag attention to it anyway. If you only use red there, your eye will be automatically focused on that.
Yeah, well, so that will be it. It's the only thing in the scene. The Middenheim is the sort of accent colour is the red that goes on banners, and White Wolf Knights are red. Yeah. So, yeah, is that anything to do with the colour wheel?
Yes.
The wheel of colours.
Yeah, good old Newton, when he was looking back at his prism, he decided that there are 3 primary colours from which all other colours can be derived. And then you had secondary and tertiary colours. And for years, this formed the core of artists thinking about colour and colour theory. That you take the 3 base colours, red, yellow, blue, you mix them together, create any colour that you want. Mm-hmm. And it's very suitable for sort of like an old world project. Because classically trained artists, or artists up until, quite recently, have used that as the basis of their colour palette. So in more modern times, we've had access to different technologies to produce different colours, like cyan and magenta, where we extract it from petroleum. So if you want more of like a Necromunda-style cyberpunk, then you can change your colour primaries to cyan, magenta, yellow. But for this, keeping it classic with the red, yellow, blue, it was a good choice.
Excellent. Win by picking a scheme done by Games Workshop and then liking the buff colour. Excellent. Excellent. Winning by doing random things. Yeah. That's the key to this. Now, Miles, what have you been doing for the HobbyHammer challenge?
Nothing for myself. Absolutely nothing. There's Adepticon's next week. I'm teaching a course in colour theory, come to the weirdly, because I have written a book on colour theory and miniature painting. It is currently at the editors, making sure I haven't misspelled blue or something. It's coming to Kickstarter. It should have been on Kickstarter now, but as with all well-laid plans, they go awry. Of Mice and Men and all that. So I'll be teaching colour theory, I'll be teaching simple sculpting, I'll be teaching weathering like a pro in 2 hours. So all my time has been dedicated on developing materials for that, making sure I know the script, making sure I'm on the right flight. So I haven't had a chance to actually do anything for my own old world project. This month I've dedicated myself to just doing a unit filler. If I only do one thing this month, it is that. It's been built. I'll come back after Adepticon and paint it. hopefully. But in the meantime, I have been working on a high elf commission, which kind of tangentially feeds into the old world lust. So this is a weird commission. This is a really weird commission because I painted this army about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
This is when I was under the banner of Little Loser. And the gentleman commissioned me this for the first time round. He contacted me after the old world, said, "Oh, would you mind rebasing the army and painting a dragon for it?" So this guy, he's very much in the tournament scene. He likes tournament armies, and he ran a Silver Helm bus. So I think up on screen you can see my effort of rebasing the army and putting down all the snow basing again. I need to develop the basing, the unit trays for them next, and paint a whopping great dragon for them. So that's been my sort of like old world. And I'm also looking at a Thunderhawk gunship I'm putting together. Oh, and this weekend, in preparing materials for Adepticon, Joe, who was with us with the 5K challenge, he's coming over to teach me how to use my printing equipment downstairs.
Oh man, that is a fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to do with your printer?
Well, it was originally bought to because I get not offers, but I get contracted by companies to paint up box art for them, or show it off, or show up on social media, doing the influencer thing. But I need very high quality prints of the stuff. It's no good them sending me something that's got like all the lines in it. And Joe used to do the printing for me. So I sent all the printing equipment over to him because he loved 3D printing. You can have this stuff, and every now and again, if I could print something great. But he's moved into a smaller apartment. And his landlady's a bit of a bitch, apparently, and she won't let him. She doesn't watch this, I can say that. I didn't say any names. And she won't let him print. I'm going through the long and short of it, but yes, he's coming around. I need high quality, and he is the best printer I know, Joe. He's just like the Da Vinci of 3D printing. Someone said he can teach me how to print like him. I'll be developing sort of like box art quality prints to paint for companies, or just for my own pleasure.
Yeah, fair. Well, I have gone from 0 to hero on 3D printing actually in the last week. In the, can you see that there's usually a printer here? Let me come here, screen. So there's usually a printer here, and it's now a Bretonian army. Right, and that's because I managed to fix a printer after a year of on and off trying to print out of an FDM Ender 3 version 2. That I got a table's worth out of it of Mordheim terrain, and then it never worked again. Right. And every time I fixed an individual problem with it,
something else
it just went wrong. Culminating.
So that's why I never wanted to get into 3D printing, because it's a hobby in itself. I don't want the learning curve. I just want to go straight in being good. So I'm hoping I can sort of like Matrix-esque suck all the information out of Joe's head and put it into mine and just know kung fu.
Yeah, so I would say like, so Miles, it's resin. It's a resin printer that Miles is going to have, or that you've got. I know that much. Yep. Do you know what make and model it is?
It's a Frozen. I've got the two models. I've got the smaller one with the yellow
Sonic,
top, and the larger one with the red-orange top.
Right, okay. And that is something that, if anyone's looking to start 3D printing, I would say, at least from my own experience, resin printers are much easier to, once they're going, if you've got the bed leveled, they're much better for usage, and obviously you can print miniatures out with them rather than terrain. FDM printers, I have just found to be a constant nightmare. Like, every now and then you'll have a bit of a nightmare with resin printers, and they're messier, obviously, because you've got to wash and things like that. But anyone that is looking to get into 3D printing for like miniatures, resin is the way to go by far.
Well, Joe doesn't know this yet, but I'll be filming us as he teaches me, and there'll be a video that's going to be hosted on the Patreon, like how to 3D print, but not just how to 3D print, just how to do it to a professional level. Because that's the videos I've been seeing. It's like this is a 3D printer. This is how you put your dongle and put it in, and you just hit play, and this is how you 3D. But how do you get rid of those really fine lines? How do you deal with issues? How do you bring because the quality that you can get out of the printer is there. I've seen it. Joe has done it. I want to know how you bring it up to that really highly polished, immaculate level. And that's what we'll be doing in the video.
Oh, quality. So saves me from going into it. Anyone that wants to know that, obviously check out Miles's video. When are you looking at? You're doing that this weekend. When are you looking at the video coming out?
Oh, possibly a month, because I'll be doing all the stuff this weekend. Then I'll be going to Adepticon next week. I'll be coming back. I'll be finishing off the Alfaria series. So I am doing a tutorial on. Let me get light. This fella.
Is that a print or is that a converted
This
sculpt?
is a conversion. Yeah, so I mean, it's nice that you've asked that because converting work, you need it to look indistinguishable from an actual miniature, or that's always the aim. So I'll be showing you how to cut it up, how to create a dolly, how to mix up milliput and green stuff in the correct values, how to apply it to the miniature, and then a painting tutorial at the end. So that will be, I'm not sure that's going to be like 2 or 3 videos for Alfarius, but then I'll be looking at doing the 3D print. So looking around next month.
And we'll shout that out on the podcast when.
Yeah.
Or the vodcast. The issue.
The vodcast, the issue.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because it is such obscure information. I can feel obscure, and it unlocks so much potential for just even if you've no interest in like a full army because you want to, like say Bretonians, I'm adding little bits of 3D prints to them.
Yeah.
To just because someone else in the world has had a similar idea to me, and you can easily chop it up and insert that into your own army in just little bits. It just the potential for slight conversion. And to realise designs in your head. You don't
need to wait for stock levels to come back up. You just print the damn thing.
Yeah, and it's just such an unlocker of potential that it's worthwhile everyone knowing. Everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking about unlocking potential, shall we get on to the meat and gravy of the episode, the previews?
Yeah. Right, so Adepticon, Miles, you're actually going.
I'm teaching there, yes.
Yeah, I am sadly stuck at home this year.
Yeah.
Because I've been away too much already.
Yeah, and you can't get the ESTA, can you? You haven't got visa clearance.
Well, from all those crimes that I've committed in.
Do you know what's really weird? So when you go out to America, you have to fill out an ESTA form. It's like $20 odd, and you have to declare things like who you are, who your mother's maiden name, like all that kind of stuff. But there's a section in it that's really odd because it asks you just straight up, like, have you been involved in any terrorist activities? Have you been to Cuban, Yemen, or Afghanistan in the past 3 years? And then there used to be a question on there, because I remember doing this the last time round. Have you ever committed or been accused of committing genocide? Even if you have, who ticks yes?
Yeah, yes. Like, it seems a very direct way of doing it. But I'm always confused by like customs. Like, how many people are they truly catching out?
Yeah.
And I know it's about tripping people up and stuff like that. But especially like when you get off a flight from, say, like my most recent experience was like going to Sweden. So how many people are actually going to Sweden? Or the reverse, how many people are coming from Sweden to the UK and illegally staying? Like, having got off a flight. I'd say it was at most in the tens of people.
I mean, if you listen to certain political commentators, they're coming over in droves, mate.
The Swedes, I think they've maybe missed that news by about 1,000 years.
Not just Swedes, just foreign people. Foreign people come into our green and graceful land and just clogging up the arteries. Green and graceful
land. I can barely tolerate you Welsh.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm the foreigner, aren't I? Oh, damn. Yeah. I'm the foreigner.
To be fair, I'm foreign from you as well, so it's.
Yeah, outsider. I like you can go like even more local than that, like people from.
Yeah, I bet you hate
Swansea.
people from Newport.
Yeah, and Cardiff. Oh, Cardiff, they're so stuck up. And then you can even make it smaller.
Fucking like, scousers. Yeah.
Yeah, like people down the marina, like who own those houses down there, like, they're the worst because they're so stuck up.
Well, it's even like, see that hill over there?
Yeah.
The people over there, they're sheep shaggers and they have webbed feet.
Yeah, and then you can like reduce it even more, like, your next door neighbour. Like, I hate my next door neighbour.
Yeah.
I don't think people fundamentally don't like each other. Anyway, preview. What we hoping to see?
We're not going to keep going about how is this where we like start like devolving into a completely different podcast?
Yeah, like Andrew Tate-esque.
Oh no! Have you seen he's just been
arrested?
Yeah.
Again.
Couldn't have happened to a better bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just for anyone that doesn't know that saying, it means he deserved it, rather than he's actually a nice bloke.
Well, I think, if you are like having an audio transcription of this and you can't read the sort of like inflection of it, yes, we are not Andrew Tate fans, but we are Adepticon fans.
And swiftly back onto
we are lovers of Warhammer and all its IP properties. Okay, so we've been chatting about this. Instead of like laboriously going through each one of these factions, like Age of Sigmar, I'm not that familiar with the world. I haven't been tracking the lore or the trajectory of the storyline. So for me to give a prediction there, it's going to be nonsense. We've seen that they've released a little preview that that Sigmar's lied, so we might be seeing like more Nagash stuff coming out. We might be seeing like a civil war. I have no idea. So instead of like going through each of these laboriously, we're just going to focus on the ones we're really passionate about and talk about our unfounded predictions on them.
Well, do you know what I want from Sigmar, actually? Like I said, as we cut it a second ago for the segment, I said that let's not do Sigmar. I'm not going to give a specific one, but I just hope it's something like quite mental. Sigmar is the place to have mental models that we can then transplant into the games that we are personally interested in. And there's still nice models for Sigmar. That's all that I hope. I hope it's not a mundane thing. I hope that it's just something pretty mental and fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I just want to see something awesome. Like whenever I watch Chinese industrial accident videos on Instagram, I just want to see something awesome.
Right.
So talking about industrial accidents, should we do Necromunda first?
Yeah. Go on, you go.
So, predictions for Necromunda. I mean, they seem to be concentrated on the Ash Waste quite a lot, like bulking out the range. They've done Delac recently. Hopefully, my prediction for this is a brand new gang. Just something, I would like them to do work up a complete new gang from the ground up, because they've been talking about the Aranthian succession. They've been talking about some of the old houses coming back. I would like to see a new founding of a gang. That's what I would like to see. And it's as broad as that. Maybe play off the classics, maybe like a Brat gang, or maybe like a Tech gang. But I would like them to see like a brand new, because so far we've had that nostalgia hit, that dopamine hit. We've had who are the guys with the chain axes, the flesh tearers,
Yeah, the corpse grinders.
Corpse grinders, yes, yeah. And they have been a new gang. I would like to see I'd like to see what this team can do in this era, producing a brand new worked up gang. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you can do. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah, but I'd like to see the Spirers again. I think they've said that they're not going to do it, but I would like to see Spirers.
Why? Well, do you know why they don't want to do it? What's the reticence behind it?
I can't remember. It's dredged up from the back of my mind an article years ago that they're not going to do Spirers. But that's what I would really like. Because I never care on them going back on what they've said. Because I don't. It's all just random shit that they just spout out at whatever time. So I really hope it's a Spirers because I really like the Doctor arc. Have
I told you about my idea for a Spyro gang?
No, go on.
So I've had that. If you want to modernize them, because they've like live feed all their kills. So what I was thinking, instead of making them sort of like these noble hunters, you can have them sort of like as gamer kids. This is what I do for my own personal version. So they've got like branding absolutely all over them. They are the influencers of the Spire. Branding all over them, and you earn points through spectacular kills.
Yeah.
Like they're surrounded by like audio-visual feeds through servo skulls, and the more tricked out the rig, the more sponsorships that they have. To the point where you can have sort of like almost like a mini Tau battle suit racing around, but when you open up the inside, it's just like this kid. Think of like a stereotypical gamer kid, a little bit podgy, a little bit. I mean, I'm describing myself here. A little bit overweight, like spots, greasy hair, greasy skin, but incredibly rich.
Yeah, well, that could even be like made more 40k of like their even up to like really old people that are these like shrunken battlesuit toting. That's what I want. What Miles just said.
Yes. Yeah, Spirers. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you win that one. Yeah, I'd love to see Spirers back in the game. I mean, even beyond that, maybe sort of like more up-hive elements. But okay, we're getting off track here.
No, this is sort of like this is less. I think it's less predictions and more, which was wish list, isn't it? Because we've no idea. Yeah. Have we any idea of any of this?
Nothing. No inkling. No sort of like suggestions. I've heard that Warhammer Age of Sigmar has like a new edition coming up, and that might be the big splash release to Adepticon. But for Necromunda, no. I am just taking the dart. I'm throwing it into a dark room.
Yeah, and if anyone else has any ideas, or how wrong are we, let us know in the comments, because we can all be wrong together.
Yeah.
And all have basically a good laugh next week when Miles, I don't know, live streams or sends some pictures of what's coming out from the hole.
Oh yeah, look at this. Look at the social. Oh, we have a social media feed. Hell, we should probably say that. We have a HobbyHammer account on Instagram. Hold on, how many we have? 25 followers.
Yes, it's like tripled since last week.
It has. Yes. When I post up the previews from next week, we're going to have at least 5 more followers. So if you, HobbyHammer, it's getting there. It's growing. Yes, that's our wishes for Necromunda. What do you want to do next? Do you want to do Horse Heresy?
Yeah, let's do 30k. Let's do 30k. Yep. So we already know the next book is going to be like Shattered Legion, Shadrach Medusa. And
yep.
I reckon it's going to be Raven Guard character from Shattered Legions. I'd be surprised if they did Sharakin. Maybe it's Tarsa, the Salamander's apothecary, but I think there's going to be I think a Raven Guard character as well. There needs to be something, I reckon, from each legion that is part of that. Do you know the main Shattered Legions elements, like Iron Hands, Salamanders, Raven Guard?
We haven't seen one person yet. One of the big personalities of this conflict. That's Aximand.
Yeah. Well, they said that they're doing Aximand?
Yes, they have. So I think we will see his miniature next week.
Do we think it's going to be anything bigger than single characters, though, as well? Because I just went straight to single character. You've said single character there.
I think it's Axeman because that feel. I mean, with the characters, that feels like a very safe prediction. I mean, looking at the conflict and looking at the, I guess, like, because we don't know exactly how much focus they're going to be putting on each of these factions. Because I remember last year it was big 40k. 40k dominated the preview, and they do like giving like one big. Okay, so I mean, looking at this at the preview poster, underneath it says plus exciting teasers. So I think Necromunda and Horus Heresy, they're going to play second fiddle to the other releases of Old World, Warhammer 40k, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see a tremendous amount for Heresy. I think we're just going to see maybe like a couple of special characters.
Some pages from the book or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be.
We're very down on our wish listy predictions. We're very down on this one, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, we should have been a little bit more down with Necromunda. I guess, like a Necromunda, we said, like, oh, new gangs, perhaps it'll be sort of like another upgrade set for one of the gangs they haven't done for the Ashweights. That'll probably be it.
We're going to get respirator heads for Cawdor.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, that might already be out, but whatever that is.
Whatever they're doing. If I'm going sort of like full-on prediction, full-on, like, this is what I want to see, with the conflict that they're covering, I would love to see the Khan on bike.
Yes. Yeah, but that would be but that would be massive, I think, rather than...
But this is my way. This is, I mean, realistically, I think we'll see Axeman, maybe a couple of pages from a book. Maybe they'll preview the next book. Like, this is what we're doing, like, if I'm stretching. But if I'm, like, living in the lands of fantasy and I just want to say, like, I want to see something cool, that is one of the Primarchs in that conflict. So I logically, or running along that train of thought, Khan on back. And, you know, he's needed that miniature for so long, since day dot. He's one of the slowest things in his army. He needs to be on a bike.
Yeah, agreed. So that's Heresy, right?
Yeah.
We've got the realistic. We've got the probably not going to happen. We've got the Old World. Now, do you want to go first on the Old World?
Old World. Oh, this is a bit of a head scratcher, right? Because do they continue? And this is one of the main previews, so you're expecting something quite big from this. So do they carry on in the same vein of re-releasing old armies, bundling them up and producing them out? Or do they preview the next... I guess they haven't got campaign books, but we've been promised sort of like this setting is the war between Azra Krull and the Empire.
That is the coming war. Yeah, they're growing in the north.
Yeah. So I would love to see the first campaign book or the first setting book of that. Maybe the first incursions of chaos down south. Showing the vanguard of this army meeting against Kislev, or the Empire, because they said they're not doing a Kislev or Nippon.
Cathay.
Cathay. Sorry, Cathay. Yeah, wrong faction. Yeah, Cathay, because they said they're not. But
got no immediate
that's what I'd like
plans
to
do
see.
it. Yeah, is I'm holding out hope. Based on the exact wording that they used, of like no immediate plans, immediate.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Hopefully it's in the barrel of the gun. Hopefully, but yeah, that's what I'd like to see. The first outline of the campaign of the coming Chaos Storm, the vanguard of the armies, the ones that are traveling south, and maybe give a couple more narrative armies. As for the miniatures, I think if they did that. It's a difficult one because, okay, perfect. They just re-released the old Chaos range and maybe the old Empire range. Those will be the two next plastic army box sets come out.
I see. We've already had the Orcs previewed, so I think first we're going to have to get a Forces of Fantasy faction against the Orcs. Right. So that would either be like Empire. Or dwarfs. Do you know, like Blackfire Pass style?
Yeah. Didn't they have that was something Alan Bly was working on, right? From the Forge World Studio, the Battle for Blackfire Pass.
Oh, that is a historical.
Well, you could take the materials from
immense.
that because they're written already. Transport. Yeah, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, because it's obviously like the old world is already historical in setting. I don't think they go back even further and fully utilize any work done further into the past, like Time of Sigmar style. Certainly not at this point. Surely not 2 months in. I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it because I have been reading the Legend of... Is it the Legend of HobbyHammer books? Or the Legend of Sigmar books? I have
no idea. I just... purely, I want to see... so anything that Alan Bly has written, I just want to see it. See the light of day.
Yeah.
Because in the previews they used to do, he used to talk about, like, I've written 3 times the amount of information that actually went in this book. I would kill to get those notes just published in a single volume to see, like, the threads.
Like Crazy Person notes binder style.
Yeah, no context. Hell, you don't even need to edit it. Just scan them in a photocopier, put them out. I'll buy them. But yeah, I would like to see that treaties see the light of day. And if you're talking about orcs need more releases, maybe like a new faction alongside their empire, whatever. Yeah, or dwarves feels like it would suit that. So that's what I would like to see. Yeah. Some manner of campaign/narrative book with accompanying armies with old plastic releases and new characters / new, I don't know, like giants or wyverns or whatever.
Yeah, but I'd love to see the release of the old giant again. You know, the death ball, like little metal giant.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good Orcs and Goblins giant. Oh, the Marauder giant, it was good.
The Marauder giant, yeah, I'd love to see the Marauder giant.
Now, as far as like new releases, they did... Obviously, the new Bretonnian Lord on Pegasus. They've done Tomb Dragon or Tomb King's, not Zombie Dragon, Bone Dragon.
Yeah. Sure. Yep.
The Wyvern model is old.
Yes.
So I think prediction wise, we'll see Orc Wyvern. Because it would, and I think just releasing a new model of one of those, do you know, like centerpiece style things, is going to be the way that they're going to go, surely.
Yeah.
And what I want to see is what they're going to do next as well. Like, we've seen the Orc Battalion box. What are they going to do after Orc Battalion box?
Like a roadmap.
I want to see like the full like. What's the time scales of everything? Like, more than just models. I just want to know what's the game plan. Like,
I think it could be applied to all of these. Come to think of it, because the heresy has. I'm not sure whether it's just me or not, but the heresy has felt like it's lost a little momentum. I'm not sure whether it's because the release of the last book was just like re-edited stuff they put up online. Perhaps this next book sounds like it's shaping up to be a good one. So fingers crossed that gives a little bit more of a galvanizing influence to the heresy community. But it would be nice to have some kind of roadmap of where we're at. And same with Necromunda as well, just to give you something to get excited about and get yourself revved up for. Yeah,
like I think the old world, I want to know where it's going out of pure joy and interest. Heresy, I want to know where it's going for, like, because as you say, it's felt a bit hard to get. It's like lurching. It's a card that's lurching forwards at the moment because because as you say, I think you hit the nail on the head with the last book, and it was sort of like that wasn't the greatest.
I mean, we're not a negative cast. We really aren't.
No, but it's realistically that
book wasn't good. That book wasn't good.
Yeah, and it's got the potential for like exploding back into life, I think, with these Shattered Legions coming out and that reintroducing.
I mean, this is like a major conflict I mean, the first book coming out, I understand they wanted like like Siege of Chthonian. They wanted like a reintroduction of all the legions just to get the ball rolling again. But it's not something like the Siege of Chthonian I don't really care about. It's not something I have like any investment, any skin in. I don't have like that nostalgic hint of like, oh yeah, they're finally doing the Siege of Chthonian. But this is like a major line battle. This is one of the things that were mentioned years ago. So I do have more interest in this conflict, and it feels more consequential to the overall lore of it.
And it would be more consequential to more people, like rather than just. Yes. I know they had like Thousand Sons in there and some bits and bobs, but really, only Sons of Horus and Imperial Fists could massively get excited about the Siege of Chthonian. Whereas something that ties in more of the community is going to be great for 30k.
But do you remember back in my day? I know member berries. We were kind of trading off this.
Miles, pull out the product that you're going to reference. I've got it.
It's down there. It's down there in my library. Hold on, let's see if I can zoom in on it. Whenever a new Black Book was coming out, even if it wasn't directly related to Legion, it was like a big event. There was a big excitement behind it. One of my favourite books is Book 4. Is that the one with the Battle of Fall?
I think Extermination. Book 4 is Conquest.
Right. Yeah.
Book
yes,
3
that's
was
right.
Extermination with, I believe that was Fall.
But I mean, book 3, I was collecting Blood Angels at the time. The first 3 books, I didn't really have much interest in them from a lore perspective, from like a Blood Angel perspective. But I still really, really enjoyed what I was reading. Like they were big events, and I was, weirdly, this week on social media, I posted up. I'm doing a few characters. Like I landed a commission to do a few characters. And somebody mentioned, like, oh my God, like those boxes are beautiful. Did you make those yourself? And it just reminded me of the like expertise and the bespoke nature of the heresy, from the Black Books being bound to the quality of the writing, to the maybe not so much the rules, but I've never been a rules guy. But the quality of the lore, the quality of the graphic design, how it was put together, and how it was seen as like the very pinnacle of what Games Workshop could produce as a company, between the art, the lore, the miniatures that were sculpted. It felt like it was on a different level. And the last 2 books haven't lived up to that, I guess, impossible pedigree. So it would be, I mean, I'm not expecting that from this next book, but I'm hoping that I want to feel that heartbeat again. I want to see that blip on the monitor, just that little beep, just to leave me know it's still alive. Or it's still...
Yeah, you see, I'm a bit of a different direction for that. I want to see something like, do you know, a little bit inspired about the actual game design, more so than the sleekness of, do you know, like, of the quality of presentation and stuff?
I understand. Yeah.
Like it's more of something I want to see. Whatever, like what the people that are working on the game must enjoy the game. Otherwise, you get someone else from within company that enjoys that game to work on it. That usually results in mental ideas in a good way, because they're just like, I've had this idea. Do you know, like, let's do this. I'm going to make it a thing.
Let's do reactions. Yeah.
Like, even sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But I just want to see like a passion thing go into it, because I think
like
that
the old world.
Yeah, and I want to see a real inspired, passionate. Whatever. Like the end of that sentence doesn't matter. But for Heresy, I want to see that. And because I think that's what injects vibrancy into the community as much as anything else. Is just this buzz of just the game being a bit more of, or not more inspired than it currently is, but like
I understand. But the old world, the re-release of that, I've been just reading through the lore. You can tell that the guys writing that really love this world, and it's hard to put into like context, like how that love and enthusiasm comes across, but it does in the writing, from even sort of like the side scroll elements, the graphic art where you get like old black. I noticed like an old Blackguard design, the old Chris Fitzpatrick design, not the current design. No, the older metal design.
Yeah.
It's some. You can tell that the people who worked on that have grown up with Warhammer Fantasy. They remember like the old, I think it's 4th edition, like the little cartoons. Like you had the Cold One sniffing the dung, or the goblins being chased off by the griffin.
Let's pull some up.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So we've actually just found them in the Forces of Fantasy book from the Old World, and not had to backtrack into 5th edition. But yeah, this is the dwarf image that I'm up on, and it's like a sketchy cartoon, quite joyful, like sort of graphics to have on the pages.
Yeah, it's I mean, everything about that book is just like dripping with joy and enthusiasm. How it brings in just these even like small little visual elements into this new game. It feels like it captures the essence and enthusiasm and love that Heresy had. Maybe that's a really unfair assessment, because the guys who, like you say, like the guys working on these game systems, very passionate, like way more passionate, way more involved, know much more about the subject. But I can only, so I've had this issue with running my own Patreon courses where I'm so much involved in the minutiae of it, I can't see the wood for the trees. So when people are asking for tutorials, like, well, I've done that already, surely. And then you scroll through, like, oh, yeah, I've done it, but it's scattered over 3 or 4 different videos. And it might be the case here that what they're working on, like 2 years in advance, might be, like, really good, really juicy. And we are just yet to see the fruits of their labour.
As in, like, it's all building to a collective whole.
Well,
that is then greater than
the
some of its parts. Yeah,
that's the hope.
I could see that. Like, or I could at least give it the chance to be that. I mean, like, Heresy is a game that had so little support for so long, and was still a fun game. That, do you know, it was cool to be in the community of. And this almost sounds like it's a writing off Heresy currently speech, but it's not. Like, I think it's one of them things that, like, as I was saying about, I'd like to see something inspired. I think regardless of your actual stance on reactions, like, do you know, whether they're good for the game or bad for the game, they're at least an inspired idea.
Conceptually, it works.
Yes, and I actually really like at least the base reactions. Whether the power levels of each individual Legion's reactions is the same, I don't really care. Like, is beyond what I'm saying now. But the actual idea is really inspired.
Yeah.
Must have had, like, someone enthusiastic behind it, and that's what I want to see from the previews.
Me too. That's I think that's a good way to end the Old World and the Horse Heresy. Right, what else have we got on the go? 40k.
40k.
40k. What do you want to see for 40k? More Kroot?
No. I think I'm done with speculating about Kroot.
You stop.
I want to see a Kroot War Spear in 28mm scale. No, but what would I want to see? See, one of the things is I'm not involved in 40k enough.
Okay, so what I would like to see then?
Yeah.
What would I would love to see? We've heard rumblings of this for years. Valrak produces videos on this every now and again. What's coming up next? What he's seen, what he's previewed. I would love to see Slaanesh. I would love to see the Emperor's Children get redone in the same way that the World Eaters were, and have a big splash release for them. So Sonic Marines, maybe Palatine Blades, how they made it into 40k. I want to see that Emperor's Children aesthetic be updated and brought into the 40k universe. That's would be my focus. That would be my dream scenario to see. I want to see Slaanesh stuff
Well, I think it's a good shout. Like, Slanesh and Emperor's Children are like the last ones left, because we've had Thousand Suns with Fury of Magnus. We've had like Nurgle with just like the base releases for an entire game edition, and whatever the Mortarian release was, like whatever that was called. We've had obviously Khorne and Angron. We've got Fulgrim Transfigured, but would that stop? Would that stop
Fulgrim Transfigured?
Yeah, would that stop Games Workshop Main from producing another model for it? I don't know.
Probably, because they don't want to interrupt the sales of both. I mean, I wouldn't be averse to get a plastic Fulgrim, even though the Fulgrim Transcended is perfect to represent the fabulous Snake Man.
Right. An unarguable comment. I thought we were going to devolve back into arguing whether Archaon and Horse.
I could see the hamster wheel in your head. Like, how am I going to attack this guy for a sentence? Yeah,
no, it wasn't. I was expecting treachery where you'd commit me to the idea that it was a better... I thought you were going to commit me to the idea that it was a better model than Archaon this month.
I'm going to slowly erode.
No, just slip it in and sort of like... And just get the words into my mouth without me being able to...
I'm just going to like slowly gaslight you into rejecting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just very wary of it. So, no, I think that's a real good shout.
I don't think we see a plastic. Yeah, I don't think we see a plastic. But I think it's an army ripe, just absolutely ripe for a redesign. Yeah,
I agree. With all that hard agree, I don't. Yeah, I can't. There's no more words. I think that's the end of me doing predictions, because I'm just going to agree with you more and more.
Yeah, and then I guess we could say like kill team. We can see like small kill teams of
kill team
like Emperor's Children. Maybe like we've seen with the Night Lords, they would make a perfect Night Lords like command squad. You could do the same with kill team. Maybe like Slaneshi cultists. See what you could do with them. Like all the weird wonderfulness of Slanesh.
But is that something you really want to see as a mental kill team, or is that just because you think it'll tie in with the 40k release?
I think it feeds into the thread of this conversation that whatever we want to see from this, like from our very vaguest predictions, I just want to see something mental at this new preview. I want to see something I wasn't expecting and goes like... to the point where, like, oh, I'm not sure I like that, and then, wow, I love that. You know, that kind of reaction, like that's so mental. That's almost like scarred me. That's what I want from this Adepticon. I want to be scarred.
Yeah, like last year, where it was like, oh, wow, Terminators. I didn't know they were going to do them, but I now want them.
Yes. Like, yeah, exactly.
I really didn't know I wanted that, but of course I wanted that.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want from this release. I mean, as far as like the rest of the 40k factions go, I mean, they've redone the Tau battle suits. They allied them with the Kroot. Orcs they've redone recently. Are there any other main factions that need a refresh?
Honestly, I have no idea, mate. I'm so far out of 40k. It's painful.
I think they've pretty much like updated all the factions at this point, because Elder have had like a drip release. We've just had this like Striking Scorpions, so they are pretty much updated. Maybe Warp Spiders, because they hit 30 years old last week.
I don't think that comes into the thought process for them.
They're now 30 years old. Yes, I mean, tying this all in a neat bow, wherever we see, I mean, ultimately, I think we could devolve this into to two things. I want to see something badass. I want to see something I wasn't expecting. I want to see something revelatory, something that makes me go, ooh. And I want roadmaps for each of these things. Where are we heading next, to give me some kind of indication of the structure and the plan moving forward.
How much money I need to save up.
And how much money you need to save, because that is an important consideration. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, let's bring the podcast to an end there, because it will get onto more and more of a ramble as we go.
Yeah, agreed.
So hopefully everyone has enjoyed watching. Miles, do you have any tickets left for your Adepticon painting courses and things like that?
Oh, I think there's one for the sculpting on the Friday.
So this is next Friday.
This is next Friday. Hold on, let me have a little look-see. March the 22nd, which I believe is next Friday, time of recording. There's one ticket left to Introduction to Green Stuff and Sculpting.
Okay, so anyone wants to check that out, we'll drop a link in the comments for Adepticon in a week. And
Adepticon in a week.
Yeah, if you...
Oh, and if you see me as well, if you see me lingering around, come up and say hello, shake my hand, buy me a drink. Always love that. Don't give me any gummy bears. I can't handle that experience again. Just say hello. I mean, I'm pretty hard to miss. I'm 6'4". But don't be intimidated. I know, like, I have a resting bee face. Like, if I look angry,
you can say bitch on here.
Bitch, yeah, I have a resting bitch face. Don't be intimidated. That's just, unfortunately, in my genetics. That's my father. I just look like that. I'm a pretty chill, happy guy. Yeah, come say hello to me.
He's all right sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why you go to these events, right? Just to meet people. Because a lot of our time we spent doing this. I mean, I'm here on my own, just chatting to somebody in Manchester, like getting a little bit of social interaction. Yeah, I got nobody here. Come, please speak to me. Please talk to me. For God's sake, I'm so lonely.
Yeah, and if you also want to meet hobby enthusiasts, there is the Old World event on the 8th and 9th of June that me and Phil are running up here in Manchester that we'll drop a link down to in the comments. It is a 5-game narrative event where we're going to take caravans, or merchant caravans, across to the distant lands of Cathay. And I'm actually, if you can hear a whirring in the background and pointing out that printer was gone, it's currently printing terrain for day 2, because we're planning on pulling a switcheroo on all the tables and going from
no more.
I'm gonna say we're gonna pull a switcheroo on the tables and go from like crossing the wasteland from like northern Kislev, and then day 2 will be all like Cathay themed terrain as you get into the lands of Cathay.
Sounds great. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be doing.
Go buy the tickets.
Excellent, and that'll also be below. With that, I think we'll see everyone next time, Miles? See you next week, or maybe in 2 weeks.